Pharmacist Ben, of course, is a registered pharmacist, nutritionist, cosmetic chemist as well, and he's also been compounding custom medications for a long, long time, and he is a spokesperson for criticalhealthnews.com. Welcome back, Pharmacist Ben. If I had drums, I'd be beating them for you right now, Ben.
George, it's a total honor to be here. Thank you so much.
We did something a week and a half ago that I'm very proud of. A fella called me on the air during some of our open line segments, and he is going blind. And I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe. You know that. But I did have the folks at criticalhealthnews.com send him for free a whole bunch of eye supplements. And I hope to God it helps him, Ben.
You know, I know exactly what you're thinking, because when you get calls like that, it just breaks your heart. It's so tragic, and it's so unnecessary. Our bodies are deteriorating so much faster, George, than they need to. Do you know the genetic lifespan of a human being is 120 to 130 years?
Wow.
That's what we're supposed to be, and we're not supposed to deteriorate.
And that's barring an accident or something crazy like that.
You know, every animal has a genetic lifespan. So an elephant is 70 years, a crocodile is 80 years, tortoise is 100 years, a mouse is a few months perhaps. Every animal has a genetic lifespan. Ours is, the human genetic lifespan is 120 to 130. And we're not supposed to fall apart and deteriorate halfway through. We're lucky to make it to 75 or 80, and we start deteriorating around age 40 or 45. Largely, I'm not going to say 100%, but largely because of how we eat and nutritional deficiencies. Mental issues, emotional issues, spiritual issues, they all play a role. But largely, the deterioration of our health as a culture, despite the fact, by the way, that we have more doctors per capita and more medicalization than any other culture in the history of the planet, we have a health situation that is a travesty, a tragedy of biblical proportions, and the statistics are alarming enough. But when you talk to the individual people, George, I know exactly what you were thinking when that guy called. You want to do everything you can do to help, and that's what Critical Health News is about. That's what Doc Wallach's message is about. That's what Youngevity is about. That's what my personal mission is about. And thank you so much for allowing us the airtime to talk about it.
Well, it's important, and we do help a lot of people, and I want to help more and more people, because if you don't have your health, Ben, you don't have anything.
No money, no friends, no family, nothing if you're in pain and you don't have your health. It's very difficult, George, to be spiritual, to be mentally correct, to be emotionally correct when you're in pain. I know that. I've been in pain.
We're going to take
something as simple as nausea can throw you off.
That's right. We're going to take your phone calls with Pharmacist Ben. Tom's going to take your text and tweets as well. I've got some emails that continue to come in, email questions as well. Here's one for Doc Wallach, Ben, but I'm going to ask you a little bit later on, because it's an animal question. But,
okay.
Animals live on supplements too, don't they?
That's exactly right. You know, if you look at the average, the nutrition facts in your average can of dog food or puppy chow, you'll see more nutrients than an adult male or female gets in this country.
What do you find when you go to speaking engagements or when you're out in public, or even your friends? What do they generally want to know?
About health?
Yes.
How they can incorporate a supplementation program. That's the most confusing aspect of health, and that's the most common question that I ask is, how can I incorporate a nutritional supplementation program into my life? And that's why I do what I do. And basically, I do a lot of things when it comes to health. I help people with their health in various ways. I'm in the skin business, and I talk about meditation. I talk about mental and emotional strategies. But supplementation is such a powerful modality, but it's so confusing, George. We don't know. I talk to so many people who are doing the throw everything at the wall and see what sticks style of nutritional supplementation. Oh, I heard this was good. I heard that was good. Take this and take that. You have to have a system. It's like a team. It's like with a baseball team. You can't have a bunch of third basemen on your team. If you have all third basemen, no matter how good they are, you're not going to have much of a baseball team. You got to have a third baseman, you got to have a shortstop, you got to have a pitcher, catcher, your three outfielders, et cetera. And it's the same thing with nutritional supplementation. You have to have all your vitamins. You have to have all your minerals. You have to have your essential fats. You have to have your essential amino acids. And they all have to be in the right proportions. You can't just take one without taking all of them. And this is why a program is so important. This was Dr. Wallach's great insight, is providing people with systems, with programs, with ways that they can get all of the basic nutrients, we call them the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, in the right proportions and in the right forms. And that's why a system is so important. So the most common question I ask is, how can I incorporate supplementation into my life? I say, get on the Healthy Start Pack. Make sure you're using your Mighty 90 essential nutrients, all 90 of them. Don't just try to take one. Don't just try to take one kind of formula. Take all 90 Mighty 90 essential nutrients, and, of course, make sure you're eating correctly as well. And that means what you're eating as well as what you're not eating. Staying away from problem foods is just as important as making sure that you're getting the good foods.
Pharmacist Ben with us, criticalhealthnews.com. And again, the toll-free number to call for assistance, 1-855-949-7234, 1-855-949-RADIO. And those people on the other end of the line really know their stuff, don't they?
They're well trained by Doc Wallach, by myself, and by all the people underneath. Everybody who answers the phone understands the Youngevity products as well as health challenges. They're not doctors, as you say. They're not there to diagnose, but they're there to help you use nutritional supplements, specifically the Youngevity nutritional supplements. And I'm telling you, George, there is not one health condition, there's not one health challenge that cannot be a chronic health challenge. I'm talking about progressive health challenges, which make up about 80% or so of our healthcare costs. There's not one of them that cannot improve once you start a supplementation program, once you change the way you eat, correct digestive problems, all things that we can do ourselves. And that's the bottom line here, George. We become so used to going outside of ourselves to take care of our health. We think it's just normal to go to an expert or to go to an authority. The idea of supplementation is the idea of taking the power back to take control of your life at its most fundamental level. We don't need to be doctored. In fact, doctoring doesn't work. As I say, we got more doctors per capita than any other culture in the history of the planet, and we are the most obese, most cancer-ridden. We have the most autoimmune diseases. This is the second year in a row, George, where life expectancy has dropped, has gone down. This has never happened before. In the Great Depression, it didn't happen. In World War II, it didn't happen. During the 1800s and the Industrial Revolution, it didn't happen. This is the first time in the history of this country that life expectancy has gone backwards, and we're all going to doctors, and we all got drugs, and we all got medical devices. That's not the solution. Now, of course, if you have some kind of mechanical trauma or you need surgery, there's a role for medicine, absolutely. But when it comes to taking care of our rheumatoid arthritis or our eczema or our autoimmune issues or whatever health challenges we have that are in the way of progressive diseases, that is, diseases that do not get better, which flies in the face of how the body is built. The body is built to get better. It's built to heal. You know, the bone is stronger at the point of the break. So not only does the body heal and recover when it has all the raw materials it needs, but it recovers better. It recovers stronger. So we are built into our body as a healing mechanism that we can witness every time we cut ourselves. And that same healing mechanism that we can observe when we cut ourselves takes place inside the body as well. When you have ulcerative colitis, for example, that's a cut that's not healing. That's a wound that is not healing. There's no reason why that should occur except for that the body doesn't have the raw materials it needs or it's somehow overwhelmed. Put the raw materials in, remove the overwhelming factors, and the body will do the rest.
Ben, a quick question for you. I take the Tangy Tangerine tablets because it's more convenient for me, though I have it available to put in water and shake it up too, so that works. But I also find that I'm supplementing myself with many supplements extra that are included in the Tangy Tangerine tablets.
You worried about overdosing, you thinking?
Can you over-supplement?
Almost impossible. You have to go really out of your way. I would say it's virtually impossible. If you swallow like a whole bottle of one of the fat-soluble vitamins, like
no, I don't do that. I just take.
I mean, it'd have to be ridiculous for you to do it. You could take such huge doses of these things. I mean, that alone tells you how, when you compare them, stack them up to drugs, the therapeutic window on drugs is so narrow, George. I mean, if you say a 5 milligram pill and you were to take 10 milligrams or 15 milligrams, maybe triple it, you could die. with vitamins and minerals and trace nutrients and what we call the mighty 9 essential nutrients, you can take 10 times the dose, the suggested dose, 100 times on some of them the suggested dose, and your body will just excrete what's unneeded. That alone tells you that if you have a healing modality as powerful as nutrition with this a toxic profile that is so huge, I mean, the window is so huge, you absolutely have to give it a shot first before you go into a drug. If you want to go into taking drugs, great, but at least give nutritional supplementation a shot.
Here's an email in from Mary. Now, this is for Doc Wallach, the vet, but I'm going to ask you anyway because she needs an answer. She says her vet bills are running around $2,000.
Oh, my goodness.
Her beloved cat has cancer near the abdomen. She's giving turkey tree mushroom powder, coconut oil, krill oil, pasture-fed beef.
Oh, my God.
What is she doing right? What is she doing wrong?
It's tricky. I'll tell you one thing about cats, though. There's a nutrient called taurine, Taurine, that is
it's an amino acid, isn't it?
It's a very, very important amino acid, and cats need to have that in their diet. And if they're not getting enough of it, and it's very likely that they're not depending on the food that they're eating. If she's not feeding them regular food, it's very possible the cat could be having a taurine deficiency. I would go get some kitty taurine or give the cat some beef liver, which is also a good source of taurine.
Okay, let's go to some calls here. We've got Thomas in La Jolla, California, one of our dear friends. Hey, Thomas, go ahead.
Hey, Thomas.
George. Thank you for taking my call. And Pharmacist Ben, I want to thank you and Dr. Wallach for Youngevity and all the work that you do. Thank you,
Thomas. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I have a disagreement with my allopathic physicians.
Okay.
And I followed Dr. Wallach, and I'm eating a lot of eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it, but I eat my eggs uncooked, raw.
What's wrong with that? Your doc doesn't like that?
And my doctor said, no, they should be cooked thoroughly, hard-boiled, etc.
Because of salmonella, is that what he's thinking?
And, they just feel...
How many eggs a day do you eat?
I eat sometimes 10 to 12.
And how long have you done this for?
I've done it, 9 months.
And how many times have you gotten salmonella?
I haven't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just feel that a raw egg is like nature's fast food.
Oh, it's the perfect food. When we call an egg, Thomas, is really not. That's just half of what the egg really is. It's really should be called, if we're going to use the correct term, an egg cell. It is a cell, and that means it has everything that a cell needs to live. And that means that every one of your cells can be completely supplied with everything that is in an egg. It is the perfect nutritional food, bar none. And to eliminate eggs from your diet, or which is almost as bad, to eliminate the yolks from your diet, because the power of the egg is in the yolk, is one of the greatest food and nutritional tragedies of any. And by the way, the fake eggs, the powdered eggs, take egg from being powdered eggs, or liquid eggs take eggs from being a power food into a trash food. So what you're doing with your eggs to eat them raw is incredibly smart. Now, cooking an egg, you'll start to destroy things. So if you're going to cook your eggs, you want to cook your eggs very little, soft boil or poach. Try and stay away from the hard boiled stuff or the scrambled or the even the over easies, because you start to break down some of those fats. And I'll tell you what, one of the best parts of the egg is actually in the part that's between the shell and the egg itself. It's called the membrane, and it's a fine little film that's inside that shell. So make sure when you're cracking your eggs, you get that membrane out there. The membrane has got some incredibly important elements for building cell membranes, including components that are super important for your skin, for wrinkles in your skin, and also for dry skin. In fact, eggs contain a very important fat that is whose deficiency is associated with dry skin. So eggs are not only important for the internal part of your body, they're also important for your skin, and they're one of nature's best anti-dry skin foods.
Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate it. I cracked open an egg once, Ben, and a little chicken fell.
Oh, no, come on.
Never go back.
You're kidding.
April Fools.
Oh.
April Fools. A little.
That would be gross.
I'll tell you one thing, though, that it does take me back when Doc Wallach says, he eats 1 million eggs a day. I mean, that's a lot.
I don't know if he eats a million. Does he eat a dozen eggs a day or something?
He eats a lot, a couple dozen, I think.
I'd get sick of that many eggs. I mean, I'm a big fan of eggs, but I would get sick of that many eggs. But as far as nutritional supplementation goes, cracking a raw egg into a power smoothie is one of the best. There's nothing better as far as nutritional supplementation goes. It has everything you need to make your cells go. And by the way, that whole hooey about cholesterol in the yolks and that why you have to lower your dietary cholesterol. Doctors aren't saying it as much, fortunately, but they're still saying it. That is a bunch of hooey, and it's one of the most dangerous nutritional myths or medical myths of all. Is that you have to eliminate your eggs and also your cholesterol-containing foods. You know, George, the foods that contain cholesterol are building foods. They don't only contain cholesterol, they contain vitamin E, and they contain lecithin, and they contain vitamin A, and the all-important vitamin K. All of these are building and stress management substances, and the more stress we're under, the more duress we're under, the more we need. And in fact, the reason why cholesterol is associated with heart disease, George, is because when we're under duress, our cholesterol goes up, and then we get heart disease because we're under stress, but it looks like it's the cholesterol. And so they've never shown a causal relationship between cholesterol and heart disease. They've only shown an association. And what they're missing is the cholesterol goes up because we're under stress and because the body's trying to build. You know, after you have surgery, your cholesterol goes up. Bodybuilders, their cholesterol goes up. Cholesterol is a stress management substance, and it's absolutely vital, not just for helping the body handle stress, but for building and repairing post-stress.
And Pharmacist Ben with us, criticalhealthnews.com. And if you do not get on this half hour with us, don't worry, because we're going to do this again next hour as well. East of the Rockies, Helen in New York City's with us. Hi, Helen. Go ahead.
Hey, Helen.
Yes. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
I have a question. How do I rebuild muscle strength and size once it's diminished?
Oh, no. The body is a building system. What you got to do is you got to treat yourself like a bodybuilder. You know, I always say that, and people think Arnold Schwarzenegger, weightlifting, and big muscles, and it's not really that. When we get older, we have to think of ourselves as bodybuilders. That means you got to get in the gym. That means you got to do resistance training, whether it's with weights or whether it's yoga or even getting those bands. Have you ever seen those rubber bands, George, that you can use? Those are great resistance training.
Oh, yeah, I've got some.
They're awesome for people who are frail, or if you're traveling. You
got to make sure that when you're stepping on them and you pull, you do not let them slip out.
Yeah, that's
because they'll smack you in the face.
That's exactly right. I've had that happen, actually.
I think that happened to Senator Harry Reid.
Are you serious?
They came out of, he missed it on his foot, and the whole band thing came up and smacked like somebody beat him up.
I know what you're saying. But for Helen, and for anybody who's elderly or frail or starting to lose muscle mass, you've got to treat yourself like a bodybuilder. And the key element here, there's two key elements. Number one, resistance training. And as I say, you don't need a gym to do it. You could do it with dumbbells. You could do it with a gallon of water, a couple gallons of water. You could put a backpack on and put books in it and walk or go up the stairs. And then when you're done, this is so important, George, when you're done, and also Helen, when you're done with your workout, that's when you do your nutrition. The body becomes like a dry sponge sucking up water. After you've burnt through nutrients through your workout, you come home and do your supplements. That's the most important time to supplement, and it's this combination of exercise plus nutrition with rest. Exercise has to occur, and the resistance training has to occur within a context of rest. So the body loves a little bit of exercise, loves a little bit of resistance, as long as there's lots of rest to follow, because it's during the rest period that the body grows and that the muscles grow. So it's this triple action of exercise and rest. I call it exerrest plus nutrition. And when you come home from the gym, that's when you do your protein, that's when you do your B vitamins, that's when you do your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, that's when you do your nutritional supplements, and your body will suck them up like a dry sponge sucks up water, and it won't take more than a week before you notice that you're getting stronger if you do it correctly.
Super. Good luck, Helen. This story just in. 4 Marines reportedly dead in a helicopter crash tonight along the U.S.-Mexico border. Jeez. Sad. Joe in Boston. Go ahead, Joe. Welcome to the program, Joseph.
Hi, George. Haven't talked to you in a while.
It's been a while.
I hope you guys get up here to Boston once in a while.
I would love to do a show there. It's like old home week for me if I get up there. In Pharmacist Ben, Joe is blind, but go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Pharmacist Ben. I am visually impaired. I don't have the money for all these supplements. I eat at a soup kitchen, and where I eat, they make scrambled and bacon eggs. Is there any? And I also have a problem with my esophageal, what do they call it?
Heartburn, gastroesophageal reflux.
Well, it's not heartburn, but sometimes my burp comes back. It's called reflux.
Acid reflux.
Acid reflux. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Oh, you want some help with that?
Yeah, nothing I can do because I don't have the money for. I mean, I've tried the medicine and the
little baking soda will help. That's pretty cheap. And then also,
cheap.
Take a quarter teaspoon of baking soda and put it in some water, and then drink it down. Not with your meal though, but maybe a couple hours after your meal, and that will help a little bit. If you don't want to do it with your meal because that will throw off your digestion, but a couple hours after your meal. And then also, this is very important when it comes to GERD, as they call it, link it to foods. See if you notice that specific foods are causing that problem, and then you're going to want to eliminate the foods. And then also, as a kind of home remedy, apple can help. Half an apple after you eat a meal.
Apple a day.
Apple days,
keeps the doctor away. Texts and tweets we have. Tom, what do you have for Ben?
We are going to go with something from John in New Mexico. It's a text. Please ask Pharmacist Ben what his thoughts are on a vegan diet to help lose weight, especially if you're a diabetic like I am.
There's a lot of misunderstandings with the vegan diet. Vegetables don't want to be eaten. Nature doesn't want its plants eaten, and vegetables contain lots of compounds that are very problematic, and lots of weight gain compounds too, by the way, especially legumes. So the vegan diet is actually not necessarily a weight loss diet. It can actually be a weight gain diet, and it's not necessarily a healthy diet because of the so-called lectins, Lectins, these plant defensive compounds that are found in tomatoes and potatoes and certainly grains. Vegan diet tends to be high in processed food, or can be high in processed food. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but a lot of vegans are subsisting on veggie burgers and such, and these are very problematic foods. So the vegan diet isn't all that. And on the other hand, meat doesn't contain any of those compounds, and a lot of folks don't have problems with meat, and they have problems with veggies. Now, that having been said, there's hormones in meat and antibiotics in meat, and meat's a little bit difficult to process, so you don't want to go crazy with the meat either. But the vegan diet, there's a lot of misunderstandings about it. It is not necessarily a healthy diet, especially if you're dealing with breakouts on your skin. A lot of these plant compounds can activate the immune system and can be very unfriendly for the skin. So for folks who are having problems with cystic acne or rosacea or blemishes that appear on the cheek area or around the mouth area, they'll feel like, well, I'm going to go on a vegan diet because I heard that's healthy for you. That can actually make things worse. So you got to be very careful about foods in general, and the best way to approach the whole food conundrum is to see what foods cause you problems specifically. And you got to do a food diary, and you got to write everything you eat and kind of chart your foods as if you were a medical professional or even a detective, and see if you can link your specific health challenges to specific foods and stay away from the standard diets like the Mediterranean diet or the South Beach diet or the vegan diet, the raw food diet. See what works for you individually.
You know what's so exciting, Ben, is when I get these emails back from folks who have tried things with criticalhealthnews.com, and they're feeling better.
Hello. Exactly.
It's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yes. It's exactly why I do this. There's no feeling in the world better, George, than to know that you helped somebody and to actually hear their stories back to you. There's no greater feeling, period. And that's what we're missing in the world, George. When we help somebody, we feel better. If we all helped each other, not only would we be helping people, we'd be helping ourselves. If we all helped each other, you'd have 8 billion people in your support system. Everybody would have 8 billion people in their support system. And I encourage everybody out there, if you're not out there serving in some way, try it. Just see what it's like, and you'll find that your dopamine goes up, your oxytocin goes up, your pleasure chemicals go up. The same pleasure chemicals that we get from sugar and that we get from drugs and that we get from alcohol and we get from the vices that we do go up when we help somebody.
This is right down your alley. Colleen writes that she had a hysterectomy back in 2005. She's 70 years old now. Wants to know if it would be safe for her to use a hormone cream made by a compounding pharmacy, and could those creams cause cancer?
Major playing with fire. Major playing with fire, hormone creams. Hormones compel the body to do something it doesn't want to do. they compel the body to do things. I should say hormones that come from outside the body compel the body to do something that it doesn't have the raw materials, the basic building blocks that it needs to do its work. It's like putting your foot on the gas without having oil in your engine. If you try to use hormones and you don't have oil in your engine, that is, you don't have the raw material in terms of food and good food and nutrition, it's the equivalent of putting your foot on the gas with no oil in the engine. You're going to burn out your engine. And that's where cancer comes from, and that's where the health challenges that are associated with hormone replacement come from. And by the way, there's no such thing as bioidentical. It's a made-up word. Bioidentical is a marketing word. You can't possibly have an identical hormone, an identical spectrum of hormones that come from outside the body that duplicate what's inside the body. Nutrition is fundamental. Without nutrition, none of the hormones work correctly. And if you try to make the body, make the cells work correctly with outside hormones, you are just playing with fire, especially if you had a hysterectomy.
Years ago, I told one of our researchers and guests, Christian Wild, about the use of turmeric, and he put together a formula through his website, myheartbook.com, and he has helped so many people with his own energy. Ben, it's just remarkable.
There are wonderful herbs, actually, that if you want to use hormone replacement therapy, Youngevity's got a couple of them they put in their in a couple of their products. I've forgotten. Woman's FX is one of them. Herbs like Vitex and red clover and black clover.
But what does it tell you about this planet that has remedies for all these things?
The stuff that grows between cracks on your sidewalk, that's medicine. The weeds that we use glyphosate to kill or that people pick out of their gardens, that is the best medicine on the planet, and it grows right out of the earth, and it's free.
And it's natural.
It's the most unbelievable thing that our earth has all the medicine built into it. And, in the rainforest, they find more medicinal compounds. Every day they find medicinal compounds. Every year they find hundreds of medicinal compounds that they didn't know existed in the rainforest.
Let's go to the phones. Fred in Miami. Welcome to the program, Fred.
Hey, Fred.
Hi. Back in January, I was diagnosed with glaucoma, and they told me 5% vision in the left eye. And I asked the doctor if there were any supplements I could take, because there's one popular one by Bausch and Lomb that's in the pharmacy, and he told me that there was nothing that I could take that would help, but I didn't believe him, so I went out and I bought everything, and I really haven't had any results. The only results I'm having are from the Timolol and the Brimonidine.
Those are the results you see.
Eye drops and another one too.
Those are the results you see. Taking care of glaucoma using nutrition is definitely viable, but it does take a little bit of time. Most important consideration with glaucoma, as well as macular degeneration and cataracts, is keeping your sugar under control. These eye diseases all go hand in hand with messed up blood sugar, and by the way, you don't have to be diagnosed officially to be as a diabetic to have messed up blood sugar. So if you have the symptoms of what's called dysglycemia, which means messed up blood sugar, if you have these symptoms, and that includes cataracts and glaucoma and macular degeneration, among other things, treat yourself like a diabetic. Lower your blood sugar. In fact, next to taking care of your digestive issues, there is no health issue that can't be resolved by helping, or at least begin to be resolved by stabilizing your blood sugar. And there's a lot of ways to do that. More protein, less carbohydrates, ketogenic diet, get on the sweeties.
What about lutein?
What's that?
What about the supplement lutein?
Lutein is great for the eyes, not necessarily for glaucoma, but it's great for the pigment part of the eyes. So for folks who have macular problems, lutein and zeaxanthine, these are the pigments that are found in veggies. Here's a really interesting thing. These pigments, these reds and the blues and the greens, they're found in veggies, and they're very important for the eyes, but they're also very important for the skin. And if you find you're sunburning readily, that means you're going to be more prone towards macular degeneration. And using these pigments from fruits and veggies can be very helpful for both your skin and your eyes. Braise your vegetables or steam your vegetables with butter to help release those pigments, especially if you have digestive problems. Sometimes it's hard to get those pigments out of the foods, but if you put butter on top of your broccoli or braise your Brussels sprouts or your tomatoes or whatever veggies you're using, you'll release those pigments, and it's great for your eyes, and it's also great for your skin.
What about stem cells in the eyes?
It's more in the medical world, not so much nutritional, but they're pretty darn amazing, George. Stem cells are pretty amazing. Stem cells live forever. They're immortal until they do one thing. You know what it is?
What is that?
Until they commit. So the next time you hear about fear of commitment, that's what that's about. As soon as the stem cell commits, as soon as there's a commitment that's made, that stem cell becomes mortal.
We go to Rachel in San Diego now, west of the Rockies. Hello, Rachel.
Howdy, gentlemen. Hey, Dr. Fuchs, I have never heard you talk about the use of cannabis for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Are you familiar with Ehlers?
Yes, ma'am. I'm familiar with Ehlers-Danlos, and I'm familiar with cannabinoids. In fact, I've been doing a lot of research on cannabinoids.
I've had 12 surgeries.
What's that?
12 surgeries.
12 surgeries. Removing bone fragments from. I dislocate like crazy. Retired early because of it.
Oh, my goodness.
Should I feel guilty being just 62 and retired about using cannabis?
No. It's not going to help you with your Ehlers-Danlos. It might help some of the inflammation. Ehlers-Danlos, for the listeners, is a connective tissue disease. It's a defect in something, a protein called collagen. Most people have heard of collagen. And so your main strategy should be building collagen. And there's lots of ways to do that. In fact, that's the number one sign of aging and breakdown. We all have this. We all have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, mild Ehlers-Danlos syndrome as we age. Our collagen breaks down, our connective tissue breaks down because the connective tissue is part of the skin and the bones and the blood vessels and the various organs in the body. This is how we age and how we die. So we may not call it Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but aging in many ways has a lot of the features of Ehlers-Danlos. So how do you take care of it? Well, for one thing, we talked earlier about resistance training. That's one of the all-time great ways to build connective tissue. Using the glucogel caps from Youngevity is another great strategy, making sure you're enjoying your bone soup, your chicken soup.
You love that.
I love chicken soup, bone soup. I've been talking about it for years. Now
and by the way, it's Pharmacist Ben, Rachel, not doctor.
Right.
Just want to make sure we're correct here.
So eating cartilage, making sure you're using vitamin C. Without vitamin C, and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is a great source of vitamin C. You can't make connective tissue. You want to focus on building connective tissue. If the cannabinoids help you with the pain and the inflammation, have at it. As long as you're in a state where it's legal, have at it. You should, you shouldn't be able to enjoy analgesia, natural pain relief, if you can find it. And I'm a big believer in natural pain relief. But at the same time, try to build your connective tissue. Don't feel like because it's a genetic issue that you're condemned. You can still strengthen your connective tissue. You can still build the connective tissue. You can still do all the things that we all have to do to slow down the aging process. So you're not condemned to your syndrome just because it's so-called genetic. There's things that you can do.
Let's go to Tom with a text or a tweet back in the Los Angeles studio, where I'll be in a couple weeks. Go back, Tom. What do you got?
Hey, Ben, we got a tweet from Jody, and she says, I teach a classroom of kiddos with emotional and behavioral disabilities. Are there snacks that I can provide that would be beneficial for them?
Sugarless.
Yeah, sugarless for sure. Get them on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Beyond Tangy Tangerine is great for kids with ADD or who have concentration or emotional issues. These things that cropped up lately in the last 20, 30, 40 years, things like autism and emotional disturbances in kids, aggressive behavior, attention deficit disorder, ADHD kinds of issues, they're related to nutritional deficiencies. The brain is using up most of the nutrients in the body. So if we're deficient in the body, the brain is going to feel it quickly. So kids need the B vitamins especially, and they're hard to get in foods. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine is a great source of the B vitamins for kids with these focus problems, emotional problems. Omega-3 fatty acids, which you'll get in the Ultimate EFAs from Youngevity, also very important for hand-eye coordination and visual development. In fact, omega-3 fatty acids, which you'll get in the Ultimate EFAs, are one of the greatest gifts a mom can give a baby that she's gestating in the womb. The baby will actually have better vision and better athletic skills, better hand-eye coordination if the mom supplements. But even after, when the kid is 4, 5, 6, 7 years old in school, send them to school with some omega-3s. In fact, for breakfast, give them a little fish. You can have fish for breakfast, George. You can have lox for breakfast, or you can have sardines for breakfast, or you can have salmon for breakfast. Send your kid off with some omega-3 rich fish instead of a standard cereal and milk breakfast, and the kid will be getting protein, and he'll be more satisfied, and he won't feel like he needs to crash at 10 o'clock, or he'll have more focus and more attention. Not just kids, but for all of us.
Adults too, especially
at
work.
Exactly.
Gordon in Lakeland, Florida. Hey, Gord, go ahead.
Dr. Ben and George, thank you.
Not a doctor, not a doctor, not a doctor.
I'm sorry, Pharmacist Ben, my bad.
Ben.
Thanks for correcting me.
That's
In any
okay.
case, my boss clocked me out early and told me to wait by the vehicle. So I was over in Orlando, which is near Lakeland, and I walked up and down the street, and it was in a parking lot. I couldn't find it. And I was out in the heat for about 4 straight hours, walking up and down the roads, trying to find the car, talking to strangers, buying occasional caffeinated energy drinks. So that was about a week ago, and ever since then, up until Saturday, I had excruciating headaches, and I did a juice fast for a couple of days. Nothing did the trick until I got all 4 of the over-the-counter headache meds and maxed out on them, and then it finally went away. And then shortly thereafter, my back started hurting, and my mother suggested that maybe my kidneys were overloaded with the over-the-counter meds, but I've had the same thing happen when I didn't do that, when I lifted weights a little bit, and I healed up naturally after that. And so my back is still sore, and I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and I'm on county health care, and I'm real poor. If you guys could send me some free I'm using all my money for this lawsuit in Illinois, okay? And so I'm very, very poor right now.
You know what? I'll tell you what, buddy. Send me, what's your name, sir?
His name's Gordon.
Gordon. Send an email to ben@ksco.com.
KSCO.com. Ben at KSCO.com.
And I'll send you out a Beyond Tangy Tangerine on me.
What do you think's his issues?
It sounds to me like he's deficient in electrolytes and the B vitamins, and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine will make a huge difference.
That'll help.
Yeah.
Betty from Jefferson City, Missouri writes in, she's got migraines.
2 words with migraines. Estrogen, which is related to the digestive system, and the hormone insulin. So you want to start looking, first of all, you want to track your migraines. This is for everybody who's got migraines. You want to see if you can match them up. If you're a woman, match them. And most people get migraines, by the way, are women, although men get them too. Whenever you have a health challenge that most of the patients are women, that implicates the hormone estrogen. And estrogen and the digestive system go hand in hand because estrogen is processed at the level of the digestive system. So first and foremost, focus on, if you're a woman, focus on your menstrual cycle and see if you can plot your migraines along your cycle. If you get surges in estrogen or drops in estrogen that are associated with your migraines, then you know you have an estrogen issue. If you have just a digestive issue, again, you want to be tracking foods in your migraines, doing food diaries, and see if you can link them up to the migraines, and then eliminating foods. Gluten is a big problem when it comes to migraine headaches, and it might just be a good idea to lay off of gluten. Dairy can also be a problem. Get yourself on the Nightly Essence from Youngevity, which is probiotics, good bacteria. Make sure you're using your ultimate enzymes from Youngevity with all of your meals, and then, of course, the Mighty 90 essential nutrients go hand in hand. So they always go with all of the individual supplements. So focus on estrogen. Try to plot it along your cycle. If you have an estrogen issue, work on your digestive system. If you don't have an estrogen issue, work on your digestive system anyway, because food intolerances can cause migraines. You know, when I read about athletes or people who have migraine headaches, I feel like sending them emails or notes and telling them, look, you don't have to suffer with migraines. If you can figure out a migraine headache is the body's response to duress. It's a sign that the body is under some kind of duress. Period. End of story. It's a sign of duress. How does duress come into the system? Almost always through food.
Same with a headache?
Headache as well is a sign of duress. In fact, all chronic disease is responses. This is so important, George. Our chronic degenerative issues, our health challenges, our reactions, responses. And that tells you if it's a reaction and you want to eliminate it, find out what the action is.
Why is it, Ben, when you eat ice cream too quickly or
brain
too
freeze?
Much, you get brain freeze?
Brain freeze.
What is that?
You know, there's a nerve at the top of your mouth, at the roof of your palate, and it seems to be connected to your brain somehow. And when that gets cold, that causes a certain type of stimulation that goes right to your brain. It has to do with this thing on the top of your mouth, a nerve that's connected right to your brain.
Let's go to Vicki in Arcadia, California. Welcome to the show. Hi, Vic.
Hey, Vicki.
Hi. Hi, Ben. I've had gastric bypass, the Roux-en-Y surgery in 2001.
Okay.
And my doctor has asked me to take 3 times the recommended dosage for multivitamins.
Yeah.
and I've just gotten really tired of it. I've just purchased some tangerine,
I was going to suggest that.
and I haven't taken it yet. But I'm wondering what consideration should I have regarding longevity products and
do the Beyond Tank Tangerine. The Beyond Tank
absorption problems.
Yeah, the Beyond Tank Tangerine is perfect because you're not going to have to deal with absorption issues. It's liquid, but you want to be starting off slowly with the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Don't try to do a too big a dose all at once. It's much better to sip on it all day
they've
long.
got a little measuring cup that is in the box.
And I would put it in a bottle of water and sip on that water all day long. But your doctor is actually very wise. That's an important consideration when you have gastric bypass is subsequent nutritional deficiencies. You know, sometimes for folks who have the gastric bypass, it's helpful for losing weight, but you end up with subsequent nutritional deficiencies that can cause complications down the road. So your doc is absolutely right. You want to be taking lots of nutrition, and I would highly recommend the Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
You know, Ben, you have helped so many people in your life. Same with Doc Wallach. How about yourself? What do you do for yourself?
Well, first of all, I help other people. That's one of the best things to do is help other people. I'm not kidding. When you help other people, all of your happy hormones, your pleasure hormones go up, and that's when you're healthy. I said earlier how all our sicknesses are reactions and responses to something that's getting in the body. What we call disease, really, George, it's the body's protection. It's protecting us. So if you have a health problem, figure out what's getting into the system that's causing the issue and eliminate it. So what do? I try to keep things out of my system that are going to cause a problem. And if I have a problem, I try and say, what is getting into my system that's causing the problem? And what's getting into the system can be something that you're eating, or it could be something that you're thinking, or it could be something that you're feeling, or it could be something that you're not getting in terms of nutrients. And I'm always backtracking. When I have a health challenge, I'm always backtracking to what my body is responding to and then taking care of it at that level.
We are back with our final segment with the pharmacist Ben Fuchs from criticalhealthnews.com. And let us go right back to the calls. Let's go to John in Citrus Heights, California, first-time caller. John, thank you for holding. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you for putting me on. Listen, I'm an 82-year-old man living with my son and daughter-in-law, and they gave me a wonderful 7-month-old little baby boy.
Oh, congratulations.
I want him to have the best possible nutrition. Right now, his mom didn't nurse him for too long, and then he's been using Gerber's formula, and then Gerber's vegetables, and beech nut also. Now, is there anything better than that?
Fish soup.
Have you ever worked with that? Because it's so critical for a little kid to.
Yeah. Will you do fish soup?
But what's that?
Fish soup.
Fish soup? I wouldn't even do fish soup, Ben.
Seafood soup, we'll call it. It's funny, George.
Really?
Seafood soup. He needs the omega-3 fatty acids that he would get in his breast milk. He needs to have some way of getting those.
Like in a bottle?
Yeah, liquid omega-3s, and that's why seafood soup would be good if he could do that. You know, where you soak seafood in.
Can you supplement a baby? Do you have baby
young.
Supplements?
You know, we don't have baby supplements. That young, you can. But
that's
really
the next thing you should think about.
Yeah, get him on a supplement program, but he might be a little bit young for that at this point. He really needs the fats is what he needs, and that's what's in the breast milk. Breast milk is just, there's no duplicate for breast milk. I mean, they have the formulas and such, but there's so many things in breast milk, particularly these growth fats and cholesterol for that matter, which is a very important growth fat, and that's not in the Gerber's or in typical formulas. Also, believe it or not, this is kind of interesting. There are endocannabinoids in breast milk that are not in formulas that have that soothe the baby, have a quieting effect on the baby.
But I don't think they're doing that anymore. They're not.
What's that? The endocannab?
They're not doing the.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is that it's going to be very difficult to get everything he needs out of that formula. But the fats, the omega-3 fats, particularly what are called DHA and EPA, which are in the ultimate EFAs from Youngevity, but of course the baby's too young for that. So you need to get liquid EFAs, and I would say if he could do seafood soup, that would be great if you could throw some of that in there.
Oh, I don't think any baby's going to like seafood soup, Ben.
Well, just small amounts of the liquid, put it in with the Gerbers.
Well, you may just kind of like mask it.
Yeah, exactly. Makes the seafood soup and takes some of that liquid and put it in with the Gerbers.
I mean, we raised our kids on Gerber's food and beech nut and
Gerber's baby food, not
food.
replacement of breast food. I mean, back in the day, the moms were breastfeeding. Now, starting about the 1930s, 1940s, breastfeeding rates dropped. But previous to that, babies were breastfed. And they may have been doing Gerbers after that, but breast milk is really that's the foundation for life, not only because of the nutrients, George, but also because it sets the stage for the bacteria to grow and proliferate inside the gut. That's one of breast milk's main roles, is to set up those bacteria. Without the breast milk, the bacteria don't populate in the gut, and then we're off to the disease races. Without that breast milk, it becomes very difficult for us to have functional digestive health for the rest of our lives, and once the digestive system breaks down, you're just off to the disease races.
Charles in Florida, east of the Rockies. Hey, Charles, go ahead.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, Charles.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure thing.
I went to the emergency room back on March 6th, and they diagnosed me as having bronchitis, and I no longer have a runny nose, but I still have a cough. And I was just wondering what Pharmacist Ben would recommend.
A couple things right off the bat.
Okay.
Right
Go
off
ahead,
the bat.
Ben.
You want to be building your body back up again. All the things we talked about with building. I'd be doing eggs every day. I'd be doing our Keto FX protein every day from Youngevity. Making sure you're doing bone soup and chicken soup, both for building tissue and also for supporting the immune system. And then high doses of vitamin C, which you get in our Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Might also want to try digestive enzymes. One of the neat benefits of digestive enzymes that nobody talks about is they help strengthen and support the immune system, and they help bust up clots and clogs that can help slow down, that can act negatively on the immune system. So they have anti-inflammatory and immune boosting properties, digestive enzymes. In fact, if you take digestive enzymes when you feel like you're coming down with a cold, you might not even get the cold, or you will speed up the rate of healing from the cold. So building up the immune system using the ultimate enzymes on an empty stomach. And speaking of the ultimate enzymes, whenever you take digestive enzymes, you always want to use a little bit of apple cider vinegar with your digestive enzymes. Not only does apple cider vinegar activate the enzymes, but apple cider vinegar on its own has incredible health benefits. Have you ever seen all the different things that apple cider vinegar does for weight loss, to diabetes, changes in blood sugar, supporting the immune system?
Well, Patricia Bragg loves it.
She was right on, but they help activate digestive enzymes, and they help acidify the stomach, too. So whenever you do your ultimate enzymes, even if you're doing them on an empty stomach for the immune system and for anti-inflammatory effects, always do a little apple cider vinegar with them.
Our final text and tweet of the night with you, Tom. What do we have?
This is a text from Luis in Florida. I need help with sweet and sugary cravings. What the heck can I eat when I get them?
Protein, especially protein that has the amino acid glutamine. Protein and glutamine are like cures for cravings, for sugar cravings. Make sure you're doing whey protein is a great source of glutamine if you can do whey. Soy protein will have some in it. Hemp seed protein is a good source of glutamine. You actually get glutamine powder. We have our Keto FX and our Slender FX shakes. Both are high in glutamine. So making sure that you're doing more protein and especially glutamine is really like the cure for sugar cravings. We'll crave sugar when our body needs energy, but the body can actually turn protein into sugar in a much more sustained fashion, in a long-term fashion, so you don't get that big sugar bump, but you still get the energy. The body can still convert some of that protein into sugar for energy.
We're going to Buck in Limestone, West Virginia. Hey, Buck. Good to hear from you.
How's it going, George?
Everything's good.
Thanks for taking my call. I've listened to Pharmacist Ben for a million times. It never occurred to me that I would have to call with a problem, but I've got a real problem.
Let's see if we can fix it.
Okay, and I'm just situated no different from the other guy. If Pharmacist Ben has something that'll work for me, I'll go to the bank and get the money for it. But here's my problem. I went in, they put me in the hospital a week ago. I went to the emergency department, and they admitted me as a patient, and they did a heart catheterization on this past Thursday, and they told me I've got an incurable malady called pulmonary hypertension, and it's got me scared to death.
Well, it should scare you a little bit, so now you'll do something about it.
And what is that, Ben? Let's talk about that first.
It's high blood pressure that follows problems with the respiratory system.
Okay.
So what you got to do is you got to focus on the respiratory system first, because that's the cause. So a couple things you want to do. You want to practice your slow, deep breathing techniques, and it might be uncomfortable to do, but it's absolutely must that you do it. Your body's not getting enough oxygen because of the respiratory problems, and that causes your heart to work harder. So getting oxygenated is really important. Practice your SDR breathing, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing once or twice or 3 or 4 times a day if you can, and you don't have to do it for more than a minute or 2 at a time. That's the first thing I would be doing. Second thing you want to be doing is some kind of bodily movement. If you can get on a rebound or walk up and down the stairs or walk around the block briskly, something like that to improve the movement of the lymphatic fluid through your system. That will help the respiratory system as well. And then, of course, getting on a good nutritional supplement program. I get on the Cardio FX from Youngevity, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and the Healthy Start Pack is super duper important. And you might also want to consider an herb called hawthorn. That can help you. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a wonderful herb for the heart, and that's part of our cardio effects, actually. But you can actually make hawthorn tea. For any kind of cardiovascular problem, hawthorn tea can be helpful. And then, believe it or not, you may need a little bit of salt, especially if you find that you're craving salt. Get yourself some good Himalayan or Celtic sea salt, and maybe do a little quarter teaspoon of that in a glass of water and sip on that a little bit, especially if you're craving salt. That can be very helpful, making sure that you're getting those electrolytes. And then also, I don't know if you heard this, George, you know there's microplastics found in salt water?
Yes, heard about that.
Isn't that crazy? So do the Himalayan. So I used to tell people to do the Celtic sea salt. You may want to stick with the Himalayan salt.
Ben Fuchs with us, pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Let's get back to Buck for a second. Buck, do you think that'll help you?
Well, I surely to God hope so, George. It really has me frightened. And I wanted to add that I was living a perfectly normal life until last week. I swelled up really bad, my legs, my arms, and now I'm on 24-hour oxygen, and I'm on 8 liters, Pharmacist Ben.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's really... How old are you, Buck?
I turned 60 on Christmas.
Oh, you're a young man.
He's young.
And I never thought I'd be
You're a young
checking
Buck.
out this early.
You're not checking out.
Buck, you can turn this thing around. It's not incurable. You can turn this thing around. Cure is magical. You forget the word cure. What we're looking here is reversal, and reversal starts with getting you stronger. So don't worry so much about the disease state and the prognosis. What you want to worry about is a day at a time. Every day you want to make the body stronger. And then at the end of 2 days, you'll be that much stronger. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. At the end of 7 days, if you concentrate on every single day getting stronger, and this is true for anybody who's dealing with a chronic health challenge, every single day focus on making the body stronger. At the end of 7 days, at the end of 14 days, at the end of 30 days, you'll be a new person.
Keep the good fight up, Buck, and keep in touch with us. Want to know what? Keep in touch with Tom. Jimmy in Sioux Falls, South Dakota now. Hi, Jimmy. Go ahead.
Hey, George and Ben. How you doing?
Hey,
good
to talk to you.
Good. Ben, I've got a question for you about short-term memory.
Okay.
But you forgot.
I have this problem. Yeah, right. I got this problem with my memory that somebody can say something to me, and maybe 5 minutes later, what'd you say?
Okay.
And then there's things that I can say to somebody, and I can't remember what I said next.
Okay.
Now, I was told that B12 was the way to go. Is this a way to go, or is there something else?
Well, B12's great, absolutely. Very important for the nervous system and for the brain, and a B12 injection once a month or so is not a bad idea, especially as we get older. But there's a couple other things that I would consider. First of all, you've probably done this, George, and maybe you have as well. I forgot, what's your call's name?
Jimmy.
Yeah. You've probably done this a lot. You're at a party and you meet people and they tell you their name, and all of a sudden you forget their name.
I try to identify, because I meet so many people, I try to identify the name with something.
That's what you're about to say, George. If they told you they were a baker, or they told you I was a taxi driver, you'd remember that, right?
Yeah, and it's easier just to try to remember their first name rather than their entire name.
Associate it with something. And the reason why associations work, George, is because the brain, that's how our brain functions. It has to have something that it relates to. So you want to relate whatever you're trying to remember to something else. You form an association. And you always want to be present with your life. We're not present with our life, George. Our life goes by, we don't pay attention. And when you're forgetting things in short-term memory, a lot of times it's because you're not paying attention. So beginning to pay attention is also important. Paying attention to how our lives show up, paying attention to the people in our lives, the experiences in our lives, our sensations, our feelings, our thoughts, really being present with our lives. And then third of all, you can do these mental exercises. When I go to the store and I get the, bulk flax seeds or bulk, peanuts or whatever I'm getting in the bulk section, I don't write down the number. I memorize the number. And then I'll have like 4 or 5 things, and I'll go up to the cashier, and I'll just tell them the numbers. And just working on your brain to practice the memory, practice your memorizing skills is very helpful. And then last of all, there's wonderful nutritional supplements for the brain, especially the aforementioned omega-3 fatty acids are very important. Vitamin E is stupendously important. And by the way, all of these strategies are important for folks who are dealing with dementia or pre-dementia or who are taking care of somebody who has dementia. Things like vitamin E, or nutritional strategies, I should say, things like vitamin E, omega-3 fatty acids, the electrolytes, all of these you'll get in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the Healthy Start Pack from Youngevity. Even, believe it or not, a little bit of caffeine can help stimulate the memory. So if doing a little bit of green tea every day can be helpful as well.
John in Maui in Hawaii. Let's go to you, John. Hi there.
Hey, John.
Well, hi there, George. I love your show. I listen to it every night.
Thank you, sir.
My question is this. I have a friend, a neighbor, who is on kidney dialysis.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on it since he's about 50 years old. He's 60 years old now. Every time he goes, he can't go through the complete cycle now for the last 6 months. He starts shaking and his legs start to hurt and burn. And I keep telling him to get off the Diet Coke.
Oh, no, you're kidding.
Now, my question is Diet Coke good for him or anybody?
It's not good for anybody. Put Diet Coke on a plan. Watch what happens to the plan. It's not good for anything. Diet Coke is good for nothing except the Coca-Cola company and the stockholders, people who own stock in Coca-Cola. It's an awful substance, an absolutely hideous non-food chemical something. I don't even know what to call it, especially if he has a kidney problem. This man is starving to death. This is a man who's completely malnourished. On top of the fact that he's cleaning his blood out, through the dialysis, he's losing all kinds of nutrients.
He's losing it all.
And not replacing them. What's that?
He's losing everything.
He's losing everything. This is a man who's starving to death. It's a terrible situation. So, obviously we get to all do what we want to do. If he wants to do the Diet Coke, then, more power to him. I don't judge anybody, and I don't ever help anybody that doesn't want to be helped. But if he wants to be helped, he needs the electrolytes immediately. Immediately get him on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. If you just get him on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine one time, he will feel like a new person. Because as I said earlier, the body will suck up nutrients like a dry sponge sucks up water when it's deficient, and that is the great gift that the human body gives us. Is the more deficient we are, the faster we absorb the nutrients, the sicker we are, George. This is so cool, and John. The sicker we are, the faster the body can turn it around. The more weight you need to lose, the faster the pounds drop off. This is the great gift of the human body. It is meant to heal. The human body is designed to be strong and resilient, to be able to pull the ups down and the downs up and the downs up, to adjust to the environment. It is a magnificent, responsive, bioelectrical flesh machine that is capable of so many wonders that all we have to do is just sit and think about how our food gets turned into our bodies every day.
That's the way to do it. Ben, thanks again. We'll talk to you next month.